and welcome. I am Ashley with Lavish Grace Photography. If you are new here, I have been a portrait photographer for 12 years now. I specialize in high school seniors, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about all the things that go into a photography business. So I basically am going to go through every single thing that I can think of that I have bought and that I use in my business. So anywhere from obviously the camera and the gear I use to the software I use, any little trinkets, anything that I use in my business to run a photography business, I'm going to talk about it today. From A to Z, we're going to go through everything, again, that I can think of. I'm sure I'm going to miss something, but we're going to go through everything that I use. So I started writing down a list, let's see, last night. So I have several things on, that is not the right list. I have several things to go through, and I will probably think of more things as I am talking about my business, but we're gonna get the obvious ones out of the way first. So my camera. So over my 12 years of business, I have had four different cameras. I started with the T1i. I went to the 5D Mark II. I got the 5D Mark III, and I now currently use the R6. And it has been a dream. I love this camera. I still have my, I have all of the cameras still, but I use my 5D Mark III as a backup, but I primarily shoot with the R6 and I have loved it. I've loved it for going into video as well. I used my 5D Mark III to film with for quite a while, and it was hard because it did not have the autofocus and the eye tracking. Like, this is awesome. I can move around and it follows me. So first thing on my list is obviously my camera, my R6. Now let's get into the lenses that I have. I don't think that I'm going to go through every lens that I own from my entire history, because there's some lenses that I got in the very, very beginning I don't feel like I need to talk about. So I'm just gonna talk about the lenses that I actually use. So the first one is the one that is on the camera. This is the RF mount 50mm f1.2. I love this lens. It is my newest lens. I've had it for a few months now, and it does not come off my camera. It's the best. I use two other lenses. I have one extra that I do use every once in a while, but let me talk about these first. The other RF mount lens that I have is my 100mm. My last video was on this lens. This is my baby. I have loved this focal length. I've loved this particular lens in Canon's lineup for years and years. So this is definitely a must in my kit. The other focal length and the other lens that I still currently use is the Sigma Art 35 1.4. This is an EF mount. I do have to put an adapter on this to use it on my R6, but I still love this lens. I still loved the 50mm art as well, but the RF 51.2 is just so much better. It's amazing. This is a great lens, and I will continue to use this. 35 is not my typical focal length that I use, but I do reach for this when I need, when I don't have much space or when I want to get more in my background. But that is all that stays in my camera bag, is the 50, the 35, and the 100. Those are my main go-to lenses. There is one other lens that I bring out on very special occasions. Not saying it's not a great lens, it's just I normally reach for my 100mm over this, but let me get it. The EF 135 f2.0. The 135 is a beautiful lens. I bought this originally for the 5D Mark III because I had always heard it's like the sharpest lens there is, and I actually found that it had a little bit more of a haze than the 100mm. So it was sharp, but it had like a soft haze on it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it does have a very dreamy quality, and it's a very, very nice lens. It's just I have to want a certain look and a certain coloring to go for this lens. So I keep it in my backup camera bag. So I have it with me on photo shoots, but I don't normally bring it out. I haven't used it a ton. Okay, I do have one other lens that is actually for the RF mount. I totally forgot about it. I even have a video on this lens, and I used it when I first bought it, but I haven't really used it a whole lot since, because it's not one that I can use in my typical photo shoots when you're on a time crunch, you got to get the shots. It's more of a slow down, be artistic, creative kind of lens, and that's a lens baby. I have the Sweet 50 in the Composer Pro 2, and it's a beautiful lens. You have to slow down. Whoa. you have to manually focus, but it is such a fun lens and I do enjoy it. I found that I really like this better if I'm taking some like nature shots as opposed to photographing people. I have taken beautiful shots of people. Actually my son, I got a really beautiful shot of him, which is really surprising because he moves so much. But that's my lens lineup. I did own the 70-200 for quite a while, but I ended up selling it because I only used it for weddings, and I don't really shoot weddings because I don't. My camera bag. I also have a video on my camera bag and what's in my camera bag, but we're gonna run through this. I have the ONA Capri bag. This is the original Capri. I think that they have a Capri version 2 out now, but I've had this for easily 8 years and it's beautiful. It works and it's exactly what I need. I'm telling you, I'm gonna try and go through everything that I have. This is the current card holder that I have. I have several. This is the one that I'm using right now. Just got it off of Amazon. What would you say off of Amazon? On Amazon? Anyways, but normally I will put my cards that are empty here and then my cards that are used here, because when I used to use the CF cards I would just flip it over when it was used, but I have like an empty and a full side. You have, yeah, this was my CF card one. I do own some other ones, but this is the one I like the most. I got this little one whenever I first got my R6 so I could have both SD and CF with me. And then I have a purple one, which I honestly haven't even used. I like this one because it holds more and it's like the same size almost. So from Amazon. So the cards that I use, I prefer Lexar. I know a lot of people in the photography industry use SanDisk or SanDisk Pro, or there's different ones, but I've always used the Lexar Professional CF cards, and when I went to the R6 I just transitioned over to the Lexar Pro SD cards, and I have a few different versions, but I like the 64 gig cards because I don't want to have too much on one card, but I don't want to be filling them up all the time, so it's a happy median for me. It's a good size, so I use 64, but I also like the Samsung Pro Plus, and honestly I like these because they're white. That's why I got them, but they work really well, they write really fast. So yeah, I prefer Lexar and Samsung. I don't like these SanDisk. I've just had bad luck with them in the past, so I don't prefer to use the SanDisk ones. Lens pins. So I don't think this brand is actually lens pin. This one's Sunpack, but basically a lens cleaning pin. There's a brush on one side and then there's the charcoal cleaner on the other to clean your lenses. I always have one of these. I probably need to get some new ones because these are getting kind of old, but I've been using these since the beginning of my photography business and they work wonderfully to keep your lenses clean and dust free. And if you get a fingerprint on them for some reason, it's very quick and easy to clean it off with this. Another thing, I use this a lot more than I thought I was going to, but it's the Canon remote shutter. I call it my remote detonator. I don't know what the actual name is. I think it's a remote shutter, but I use this quite a lot. I use it when I'm doing product photography. I don't want to actually push the shutter on the camera. I will use this, or self-portrait. So many reasons. It's good to have. It's not too expensive. I don't remember how much it was, but it was probably around 50 bucks. But I do always have that in my camera bag just in case I need it for some reason. All right, so every photo shoot that I go to, I have a backup camera bag in my car just in case something happens to my camera. A lot of my photo shoots are an hour away, so I need to have backup gear with me. Whether it was an hour away or not, I need to have backup gear with me. So I have this backpack in my car. This was just from Amazon. There's several like it all over Amazon, different brands. It works wonderfully for carrying my backup stuff. I would never be able to carry this like on a photo shoot, but keeping it in my car, it works fine. Side of the bag, I have my 135, which I previously mentioned. I have a couple of Cactus transceivers. They're transmitter receivers, and my husband picked these out and I hate them. These are older, so they probably have newer versions out now, but I hate these. Technology and I don't jive. I don't know if it's the creative energy or whatever, but technology and I don't always get along. And there were so many times I was trying to use these to do off-camera flash they just would never sync up, and I still have them in here just because. I've also used these to put a flash on a light stand or something because it has the thread, so it's kind of just a flash holder. I have the adapter. I have 2 adapters for the EF to RF. I have this one, and then I have the one with the control ring, which I prefer. I have some CF cards in my backup because that's what my backup cameras take. I have battery charger. I have the EF 24 to 105. I don't really ever take pictures with this lens. I used to film with this because I could zoom it in real quick, and I would always film with this lens, but I don't anymore. My husband uses this when we do weddings. He second shoots for me, and he prefers a zoom lens. So that's why I still have it, is because he uses it. And then I have my 2 backup bodies in here. I have my 5D Mark II. Feels so giant now. And the 5D Mark III. This one's name is Chloe. My R6 is Lily, if you did not know. I have both of those in there, and then I have my flashes. I have 2 of the Canon 600EX that was close. RTs. So I have 2 of these. I normally just have one on my camera and one off camera when I use these. I have one of the 430 flashes. It's not in here because I don't use it, but I do have one. So that is what is in my backup camera bag. So far, this is all things that you would generally think of going into a photography business. So we're gonna get into the things now that not everybody thinks about, all the little bitty tiny extra things that add up that you need going into photography business. So first we're going to talk about all of the programs. So obviously there's Photoshop and Lightroom. I use them both. I use Lightroom as much as I possibly can. I only go to Photoshop if I have to. It takes longer to put it into Photoshop and then back in, and sometimes the colors get messed up, but I prefer to edit in Lightroom exclusively if I can. But I do have Photoshop and I do use it. Photo Mechanic. I don't think I would have the patience to cull images now after using Photo Mechanic. I culled my images in Lightroom for years, and it was so painstakingly annoying because they take so much longer to pull up in Lightroom. And so now when I dump my pictures, they go straight into Photo Mechanic. I cull them, and then I move the images that I want into Lightroom, and it has saved me hours and hours. Highly recommend Photo Mechanic for one. I don't know, there's probably other programs out there now that work just as well or better. I don't know. I just know that Photo Mechanic works for me, and I could not do my job without it. I definitely, when I do shoot a wedding, I definitely could not get through wedding photos without it. The program that I use is not, I guess it's not really, is it software? I don't know, it's Honeybook. It's a CRM. Basically, I only use Honeybook for credit card payments, and also I send questionnaires to my seniors, contracts to my models. It's really great for keeping up with that kind of stuff. I don't really do like my books on Honeybook. I know you can, but I'm very old school, and I'll show you how I do my books in a minute. But Honeybook I use Honeybook for my scheduling, my payments, and my contracts and such. So any other programs I use? So obviously for most photographers won't have to do this, but for video I use Premiere Pro, and then I also use InDesign from Adobe to create my magazines. I do a Lavish Grace Seniors magazine every summer, which I am trying to finish it up and get it printed, but I use InDesign to design the magazines. So those are the main programs that I use. There's Pass Plus. Pass Plus is how I deliver my images. There are so many out there now, image delivering services, and I used Pass Classic and I transitioned into Pass Plus. It's just what I'm used to. I like Pass Plus a lot better than the original. I had a lot of clients having issues downloading them with the original Pass, but it's where all of my galleries are and it works for me, so I've stuck with Pass Plus. So then there's the website and the blog and all of that. So one thing is a domain. My current domain is from Google Domains. My website is through Showit, and Showit is how I built my website, who hosts it, all of that. I've had wonderful experience with their customer service. Anytime I have to update my website, it's so easy. I had to change from Ashley Nicole Photography to Lavish Grace Photography. They walked me through the whole process. They even helped me to make Ashley Nicole Photography my old domain go to my new domain. So I've had great experience with Showit, and that's who does my website. Wordpress for my blog, which is through, it's like WordPress and Showit. I don't know how that works, but I have a WordPress. I don't blog as much as I really wish I did. I used to blog every session and I haven't been, and I keep trying to and I forget to. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so we've talked about the software and the websites and all of that. Obviously I have to have a computer to use all this stuff. So I've had my fair share of computer problems the past six to 8 months. I used a Windows Surface Pro 4 laptop tablet thing. I used that for quite a while, and then I got the Surface Studio desktop and I loved it, and it was beautiful, and I still have it and it's for sale right now. But I moved to a laptop again. I got a Concept D from Acer, and I used that for 3 months, I think. And then I had some issues with it and sent it off to get repaired. And in the meantime, I bought a different laptop. So I had something because I had no computer at all. And then they ended up just replacing that laptop, and then I had to sell it because I already had one that was like way better. That's a long story to say. I have a beautiful laptop from Asus. It's my husband's. That says, that's how you say the brand, but it's a ZenBook Duo, and it's actually, hold on, but I have my camera hooked up to right now, but, well, I can't see what I'm looking at because, there we go. Oh, that's trippy. Okay, anyways, I love this. It's awesome. It has a second screen down here. It's not like a super high quality screen that you edit on, but you, it's also a big trackpad too, but you can put, like when I'm editing my video, I have my timeline down here, the internet up down here, but it's basically a second screen, and it's ridiculously cool. It's the monitor on this is touchscreen. I couldn't edit without touchscreen now. I've been editing with a touchscreen for so long that I just have to touch the screen. And I use a pen when I'm editing skin, and like it just, that was one of my requirements, was a touchscreen, and this has been working beautifully. It's not a cheap computer at all, but it works wonderfully, and I do love it. And I recently got a monitor. This is the ProArt. I mean, I'm pointing to it, you can't see it, but it's a 27-inch ProArt. I'll put a picture up. Again, the same brand, Asus. I've only had it for maybe less than a week now, but I have where I plug in and have a, I guess technically third screen for when I'm editing. So that's my computer setup. I love that I can take my editing with me. Let's talk about the fun stuff here. Let's talk about file storage. I know there's probably a lot of techie people watching this, so I'm going to stop you right here and let you know I am computer dumb, okay? My husband is a insanely smart techie person, and I let him deal with all of it. I could not do this without him. So one of my things on my list is my tech support. That is my husband. I could not do this without him. So I'm going to talk about my file storage, but I'm not going to tell you anything technical, okay? I use a NAS system, and all of my files I access over the network in our house. So there's nothing on this computer. If it dies, it's okay, because all of my stuff is safe and secure in his office. We learned early on that my body just kills hard drives. And so he does not want hard drives anywhere near me, and I'm not allowed near the NAS. So yeah, I can't really answer many questions about it. I can ask him. If you have a question, I can ask him, and maybe he can answer in the comments for me. But yeah, we have terabytes and terabytes of storage in the NAS. And it's a system where if one hard drive fails, you are able to replace it, and it, I call it self-healing, okay? Let's do that. I'm sure there are people who are watching this that know exactly how it works, and if you want to explain further in the comments, please feel free. Just don't call me bad names. I'm a creative, not a techie. Okay, so anyways, my file storage is not actually on the computer. I know a lot of photographers struggle with this because they are creatives and they don't get into the techie side of things. And I know several photographers who have like a billion little external, hold on, I have one, little external hard drives that they plug in, they fill it up, and then they plug in another one and they fill it up, and then they have to like shuffle through them like, oh, what shoots are on this and what shoots are on that. That's probably what I'd be doing if I did not have Daniel. So I'm so glad that I don't have to do that. But again, I don't have anything on my computer that, I will revise that. I do edit my videos on there and then I move them to the NAS after. That way it works a little faster. So that's my file storage. I'm sure there's more that could be said about that, but that's all I'm gonna say about it. Another like gear thing, obviously I have a reflector. Let's actually go back to gear because I have several other things that I haven't mentioned gear wise. I have one of the 5-in-1 reflectors. It's like it's a big, I don't know how wide it is. It's like 46 inches, or is that too big? Anyways, I have a big 5-in-1 reflector. Actually, I have 2 of them. I carry my reflector with me on most photo shoots. I think it's a great tool to utilize. Other things I have, so I have my flashes, but I also have a strobe. I have a Westcott FJ400. If you are a natural light photographer and you are afraid of off-camera flash or strobe or anything, I highly recommend, like highly recommend you diving into some strobe work, because that sounded weird. It's amazing the possibilities that it opens up, and the editing, when you're editing a consistent color of light, so much nicer. So I'm actually going to do a video on the FJ400 from Westcott and how I use it, because I was always a natural light photographer as well, but no, I'm just a photographer now. I love all kinds of light. Do not discriminate against light. But anyways, on my Westcott I have obviously a light stand, and I use a lantern softbox, and it's the first one I wanted. It's the only one I have right now. There's other ones that I like want to get eventually, but that one is the most natural looking, soft, window light-esque softbox that there is. That's my setup there. And it has the transmitter that comes with it. I obviously have lots of different light stands, tripods. I have the Manfrotto tripod. It is the best one out there. I've had several tripods, and the little cheapy ones, I recommend just skipping it and getting a nice one that's gonna last you. I actually got lucky and got this one in a garage sale. Some guy was selling off a bunch of his equipment, and I got this Manfrotto, and it was not that expensive in the garage sale, so very happy to have that. But I recommend a very good tripod. Other gear, so since I do video as well, I have a microphone. I'm gonna link some of this stuff in the description because I don't know the exact like model number of the microphone. And then I have LED panels that I use in here. They are from Great Video Maker. Let me look at my list real quick, see what we got. I do have filters on all of my lenses. I actually had a comment in one of my videos saying that I need to get rid of my Amazon filters, but you know, I have them on there to protect my lens, and yeah, sorry. I know that there are better ones and more expensive ones, but most of them, I actually have the thin Amazon Basics ones. They work for me, so. Oh yeah, fun stuff. Oh, also email address. So I have to pay monthly. It's like $15 a month, I think, for my email address, my ashley@lavishgracephotography.com. So there's another thing. I also have a laser engraver. This was a business expense, and it is something I use for my, business. We got it to engrave my logo onto cups for my senior models. So I pretty much, we use it for so many things now, but any kind of cup I get, I always engrave my logo on it, because why not? More advertising. But all of my models get a cup with the logo on it. So canvases, prints, all that stuff. These back here are metal prints, and they are from, so CG ProPrints is where I've always gotten all of my canvases, which I have several around the house. I think they have since renamed to just ProPrints, but they also now have like acrylic prints. They have the metal prints. The one above my fireplace is canvas with like a floating frame around it. Beautiful. Highly recommend ProPrints. We'll leave that in the description below. High quality, and they're the best price you can get. And then let's talk about the books. So I use a paper planner. I have always been a paper person. I have since started putting my schedule in my phone as well so that it's with me, but I have used the Simplified Planner from Emily Lay for years, and I mean years. But I use that to keep track of my photo shoots and then also payments. So on the calendar itself, I write down what they paid for their session, and that's how I keep track of it. And then I have just an Excel, actually probably a Google Sheets, yeah, spreadsheet that I plug in all that information, and I keep track of all of my expenses, and I keep track of all of my photo shoots and income into Google Sheets, and that's how I do it. Not everything, I think that's everything that goes into a photography business. Now, everybody's different. Everybody could have other things. Not all of this is necessary, but a lot of it is to actually run a business. Then there's also this, there's so much I've not even talked about. Let's just say, and more. All of this and more. There's still some more sales tax, all the fun stuff that we don't really like talking about. There's all that stuff too. So, camera, lenses, battery, SD card, Photoshop, Lightroom, mechanic, I need a mechanic, photo mechanic, laptop, monitor, card holders, planner, Honeybook, canvases, website, WordPress, domain name, reflector, flashes, strobe, lantern, light stands, clicker, lens pins, card reader, NAS, tech support, husband, InDesign, filters, Facebook, Instagram, email, Premiere Pro, and laser engraver. That's what was on my list. So I hope that this was at least entertaining, if not helpful. If you are thinking about starting a photography business, if you're just getting into taking pictures, maybe this will just give you an insight of some of the things that you might eventually need to run a photography business. And a hat, you need a stylish hat. If you're gonna be a photographer, you gotta have the photographer hat. I don't know if it's like this all over the country and world, but in Texas, if you see somebody wearing a hat like this, they might be a photographer. All right guys, that is gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Speaking of other photographers, I have another photographer shootout coming up very soon. It's a week and a half away, where there will be other photographers wearing hats and we're gonna shoot each other. So we're going to swap headshots and I'm going to film it, so you will get to see some behind the scenes. I've done this three or four times. So if you haven't checked out those videos, you can see my past photographer shootout. But yeah, that is gonna wrap it up for this one. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and wanna see future videos, hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. I don't know what this was. We gotta fix that. I get my good side. So this pose, this is a very normal one here. So many pictures with a hat, right? This is a 2.0. I should know that. I also have a Wordpress.